Center Invisibility Tower bases are currently taking over Clash of Clans. They can be a little tricky in the beginning if you don't know how to attack them, however with the right approach they become incredibly easy, and in this video I'll give you a guide how to crack every single one of these Center Invis Tower bases. Let's dive right into the first attack, and we once again have some replays from the man himself, from the creator of this attack strategy, Unknown Burrito. With the 12 invisibility spells and the 16 dragons, it can't be simpler, it can't be easier. And the setup, how you want to approach these Center Invis Tower bases, is incredibly easy. You're going to use your Royal Champion to funnel away one of those flanks, then recall her, put her on the complete opposite side of the base, and then take that out as well. And if you have funneled away both of these flanks, the dragons have nowhere to go except for going into the core of the base. You are going to use the giant arrow to activate the Center Invis Tower compartment, and then your dragons will be able to take out the core of the base before the Invisibility Tower reappears again. And if the core of the base is gone and you still have some of your dragons left alive, the base stands absolutely no chance. But that's exactly what's happening right here. The Royal Champion funneled one of the sides away perfectly. Now you use the giant arrow from the Archer Queen to trigger the core of the Invis Tower compartment, and then you're going to use the Royal Champion to funnel away the other side. Now that the Expo is gone and a few other buildings are gone, the dragons have nowhere to go except for into the middle of the base. Once the dragons enter the middle of the base, that's when you're going to use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome. And after the Grand Warden Eternal Tome has been worn off, or well, is going to wear off, you are going to use the Minion Principality to just slow those defenses. One very neat trick which Unknown Burrito was doing within this attack is he recalled the Royal Champion even though he still had 2 Invis spells left. So he had to recall the Royal Champion because the Royal Champion was going into the middle of the base, and you do not want the Royal Champion to activate that Center Invis Tower compartment. If the Royal Champion manages to go into the middle of the base and activates that Center Invis Tower compartment, you're a little bit screwed because you cannot activate it with your giant arrow, and it will reappear whenever your dragons are going to the middle of the base. So we recalled a little bit early. You can of course use those invisibility spells a little bit later. That's no problem at all. And with that, the base was completely crushed. If the RC is going towards the core of the base and you still have like 4 to 5 Invis spells left, recall her immediately. You do not want the Royal Champion to activate that Center Invis Tower compartment. Well, let's take a look at yet another example just to show that you can use this tactic on every single Center Invis Tower base. Just put your RC on one of those sides just to funnel away one of those 4 flanks. You have like the flank from 3 o'clock to 12 o'clock, from 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and from 6 o'clock to 3 o'clock. You have 4 of those sides, and you want to use your RC to funnel away 2 of them. You want to funnel away one of the RC charge, and then funnel away the complete opposite one with your Rocket Spear after you recalled your Royal Champion. The RC walk is going through the base perfectly. Now you always want to make the building invisible before the Royal Champion actually takes it out completely. Like you, for example, saw with the Wizard Tower right here. The Wizard Tower was turned invisible a little bit before the Royal Champion actually takes it out. Same with the Expo, same with the Multi-Auto Tower. So actually the aura from the Electro Boots finishes off the building, and you save a little bit of time as well as a little bit of your invisibility spells. Now Royal Champion funneled away the 3 to 12 o'clock flank perfectly. You send in all of your dragons towards the 4 o'clock side, and you use your Royal Champion to take out the 8 o'clock compartment to funnel your dragons into the middle of the base. It doesn't really matter if you're going into a monolith and lose a few of your dragons in the beginning of attack. You can lose like 4 to 5 dragons into the beginning of the attack. It doesn't really matter, you have 16 anyway. But it's incredibly important to use your Grand Warden Eternal Tome whenever you are going into the center of the base, because that's where all the traps are located, that's where all the damage is. So you really want to use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome whenever you are going to go into the middle of the base. Just take a look at this Minion Principality. So much value. The Minion Principality is so incredibly good in combination with dragons, or just in general. The Minion Prince is such a strong hero. You often underestimate it. With that, still so many dragons are left in this base, stands absolutely no chance. Still both the air targeting heroes are in the backhand, but it doesn't matter. So many dragons are still alive. You still have the Archer Queen alive, Minion Prince alive. This base stands absolutely no chance. You always want to use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome first, and when the Grand Warden Eternal Tome is going to wear off or wears off, that's when you're going to use the Minion Prince to stun everything on the backhand and protect your dragons for even further. But just because it is so fun, let's take a look at yet another example, and that's when and afterwards we are also going to take a look at how to recover if you actually manage to activate a center Invis Tower compartment with your world champion, which is actually a complete mayday. That's the only way how you can actually screw up. If the center Invis Tower gets activated a little bit too early, that's a big problem because you actually cannot activate it with your Giant Arrow, of course, and it will activate again when the dragons enter the center of the base. That's when the Invis Tower gets re-triggered, all of your dragons will split, and whenever those dragons split and don't go into the core completely together, that's of course the only way how you can fail with this attack strategy. Once again, the World Champion charge takes out half of the base, the funneling is set on the 3 to 12 o'clock setup perfectly. Then after you use the last invisibility spell, you are going to recall your World Champion, you are going to use a few of your dragons to funnel away behind your World Champion. You use the Giant Arrow again to activate the core of the base. You're going to send in every single one of your dragons again into the core of the base, well into the monolith again. It doesn't really matter that the monolith is going to take out a few of your dragons, as I said already earlier. Use the World Champion with the Rocket Spear to funnel on the other side. And you can see again, those dragons have nowhere to go except into the middle of the base. Use your Grand Warden Eternal Tome whenever they are entering the middle of the base, and afterwards you are going to use the Minion Prince ability. So that's right now, you're going to use the Minion Prince ability right now. The angle wasn't perfect, so still the other fire spitter is not frozen, but it doesn't really matter. Still so many of your dragons are alive, and this base is completely crushed, has absolutely no chance to defend. If you're facing these center Invis Tower bases, it is so easy to crack them. If you're facing them in Legends League, in Clan Wars, just try out a strategy where you will have no problem at all taking out those center Invis Tower bases. If you want to try it out yourself, the army link is of course in the description. But of course, not every attack goes right, so let's take a look at some recovered fails as well. But before we continue with the next attack, quick reminder, if you're planning on buying any in-game items, make sure that you are always using a creator code. To support this channel, code RH Basebuilding would of course be much appreciated. There's one more replay I want to show you before we get to the fails where Banhan Burrito had to recover the attack because the World Champion activated the center of the base. And that's on this double Invis Tower base because you have to approach them a little bit differently. Well, not completely differently. You just have to use one slight trick to activate the back end Invis Tower compartment as well, and that's what you're going to do with the Minion Prince ability. The Minion Prince ability actually does enough damage to trigger those Invis Towers, so that's what you can also use to recover, as well as on this base to use, you can use it to trigger the Invis Tower on the back end, so the dragons don't split off and actually manage to take out that compartment. But you will see that in a bit. The setup is just the complete same. You use the RC to funnel away one of these sides, then you're going to recall her and put her on the complete different side. So this time you started off your RC at 9 o'clock, she is going to walk to 6 o'clock, then you recall her. You use the RG Queen at 12 o'clock, well, to trigger the standard Invis Tower compartment. Then you're going to use your World Champion with the Rocket Spear at 2 o'clock. To take out that compartment as well, so your dragons have nowhere to go except for going into the middle of the base. So that's exactly what's going to happen right here. The Invis Tower wears off, and then all of your dragons fly into the center of the base absolutely perfectly. You're going to use the Grand Warden ability once again if the dragons are entering the middle of the base. And afterwards, you are going to use the Minion Prince ability relatively early just to trigger that back-end Invisibility Tower that's happening right now. Just take a look, that Invisibility Tower gets triggered right now. And afterwards, your dragons are just able to easily take out that back-end compartment. And this base stands absolutely no chance. But now let's, of course, take a look at how you can recover some attacks as well if it doesn't go completely right and your RC actually does manage to trigger that center Invis Tower compartment. Because that's of course not what you want to happen within these attacks. That's the only way how you can fail if those dragons split off and don't take out the center of the base. And here we have this example, the exact same approach. I'm going to speed it up a little bit earlier and just go towards the key moment within this attack where the Royal Champion goes into the middle of the base. The setup is just completely the same. You use your RC to funnel away one of those sides, which is, of course, you've seen that already 4 times, so we don't need to look at it one more time. But now this is the key moment where the Royal Champion goes into the middle of the base. He didn't react early enough. Normally you want to recall your Royal Champion as soon as you see that she is going to go into the middle of the base. But Unknown Burrito was a little bit slow here, so he wasn't able to save it beforehand, and now he has to recover. And he is going to do that by actually by taking out the Invis tower with his Royal Champion. He's going to use his Rocket Spear ability early just to do a little bit more damage, so the Invis tower actually gets taken out by the Royal Champion beforehand. And if the Invis tower is of course not on the map anymore, it can of course not cause any more problems. It will easily just, well, if the Invis tower is not on the map anymore and it's gone, it's not going to cause any problems. So you're going to do the exact same approach. You're going to recall your Royal Champion, put it on the other flank to funnel that away. Of course, he already used a slight bit of his spears within the core of the base just to take out the Invisibility Tower, but still, he still had a few of his rocket spears left to take out multi-arch tower. With that, the dragons have nowhere to go except in the middle of the base, and now he's going to use the Grand Warden ability whenever the dragons split off, and there is absolutely nothing anymore in the background of the base to stop this giant force of dragons. Together with the Archer Queen, together with the Minion Prince ability. Minion Prince ability, he could have swagged it. He could have swagged the Minion Prince in general. And this base is also completely crushed. But of course, not on every single base you are able to take out the center Invis tower. And that's what we're going to take a look at on this base. We have a different base setup this time. Normally you have it with a box base together, but this time we actually have a ring base with the center Invis tower compartment. We will fast forward a bit again to the key moment where the Royal Champion is entering the core of the base, because of course ARC charge, you have seen it as, a few times already, also in this video already. Let's take a look right here. The Royal Champion is walking into the middle of the base, targets the Town Hall. He isn't quick enough to react with the recall spell, so therefore the Invis tower gets triggered. Now he's going to use the Rocket Spear again early, but this time not to take out the center Invis tower, but actually to take out the Town Hall, so the Town Hall doesn't cause any more problems. Town Hall, of course, is a very heavy defense. You want to take it out. If the Town Hall gets made invisible and your dragons don't take it out, you have a very, very big problem. The need recover rate here, right here. 2 stars are of course saved. So you don't have the problem that you might 1-star if you get a little bit unlucky with the Dragon Split. If the Invis tower is already triggered, you can see the giant arrow from the Archer Queen is basically wasted. You can maybe use it to take out a air defense as well as to take out a sweeper maybe. It is not always necessary to take out a sweeper as well as the air defense. If you're able to do so whilst also triggering the center Invis tower, that's of course very neat. But in this case, he just got a sweeper, which is very, very nice. But the key moment, what's Unknown Burrito did is right here, is he uses his Minion Prince ability early before using the Grand Warden Eternal Tome to re-trigger the Invis tower in the middle of the base, so the Invis tower gets re-triggered and wears off again, so the buildings in the core don't get invisible anymore or aren't invisible anymore, and with that the dragons will actually split off a bit, take it out. That's when you're going to use the Grand Warden Eternal Tome, and you will be able to absolutely overrun the base. So if the Royal Champion triggers the Invis tower a little bit too early, of course you want to react fast by just recalling him before she is able to before she's able to trigger the center Invis tower compartment. But if she manages to trigger the center Invis tower compartment, you have 2 ways of reacting. First off is you want to take out the center Invis tower compartment by using your Rocket Spear, as well as having your RC trigger target the center Invis tower compartment and the center Invis tower and take it out. And the second way to react is just by using your Minion Prince ability early to re-trigger that Invis tower, so your dragons don't split off and actually take out the center of the base. I hope you were able to learn something. If you're struggling with the center Invis tower bases, the army link is of course in the description. I hope you'll be able to crush it in Legends League as well as in Clan Wars. If this video helped you out, make sure to subscribe to stay up to date with our content, and also a like on this video would be much appreciated. With that, I would say see you guys soon with the next video. Much thanks to Unknown Burrito. See ya guys. Take care and bye bye.